Welcome to our podcast series, SCORE, the Best Kept Secret, where small business owners find the secret to success.
Welcome to SCORE, the Best Kept Secret. Hi, my name is Steve Davis, and SCORE is free and confidential, and today we welcome Donna Reed, a city councilwoman who has a very, very long background with the city, very involved in the community. And also today we're featuring SCORE's nonprofit efforts we do, and specifically supporting the Reading Police Youth Academy. So Donna, welcome. Thank you for taking the time out of your incredibly busy schedule. We appreciate that.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
And tell us a little about yourself and how you got here. And it's a fascinating story.
Well, I've been around a long time, longer than I care to think sometimes. Grew up in Muhlenberg Township, just north of Reading, when Muhlenberg was rural, which is hard to imagine, but I grew up on a farm in Muhlenberg. Lived out there, went to Muhlenberg High School during what people like to call the Wonder Years, the 60s, when it was a very different time and it was a fabulous time to grow up. Went to college at American University in Washington, studied political science and journalism. Was there during the Watergate years. I sort of thought I'd be an attorney, but I got hooked on journalism as living through everything that was going on then, which seems to be a redux now with what's happening. I feel like we're reliving the Saturday Night Massacre these days with Comey and Trump and everything else. Worked in Washington for a while for the Washington Bureau of the Baltimore Sun. Like many people down there, my money started getting low because even back then the cost of living was high in Washington. Came back here, lived with my parents at the farm, helped out in the farm, and went to the Reading Eagle and said, do you need a reporter? And it was a different hiring way of doing things back then. And I was fortunate enough to have with me an article that was used by Copley News Service. That was one of the services that the Eagle had subscribed to at that point. So the Eagle had already published me about a story about the revamping and the rehabilitation of Union Station in Washington. So I was lucky enough to join the Eagle staff. Thought I'd stay half a year. I stayed there for 23 years. Covered City Hall, courthouse, police beat. I was the first woman op-ed columnist, which I'm still very proud of. And had a marvelous career at the Reading Eagle. It's wonderful that we still have an independent newspaper in this town, an independent voice, one that is not connected to a network of newspapers. And then decided, after all the years of covering people and being the eyes and ears, I wanted to be a voice. And left the newspaper, went to the Berks County Chamber of Commerce, served as their VP of Communications under the fabulous Tony Grimm, and ran for City Council, and I have been there mostly since 2002.
Okay, so you were in the chamber for a period of time.
I was, and that is how I got to know SCORE.
Tell us that story.
Back when the chamber was located at 601 Penn Street, Penn Square Center, we were ground floor, and Tony was so open to having different folks work out of the chamber offices. And one of the permanent offices within that big office area was SCORE. My office literally was straight across from SCORE, and it was a fascinating organization to watch. I would see folks come in with their business plans, many of whom went on, had successful business plans, as your folks advised them. Some of whom, and I can think of one person I know, because it wasn't a solid business plan, the advice to that person was, maybe you better stay with your day job. And the guy had a successful career. So sometimes that advice is maybe not what you'd expect, but it's solid, good. And I was always so impressed by the SCORE folks, and just the chamber back then was a very hands-on outreach to small business. I think it is coming back to that with our new chamber president, who is fabulous, Randy Pierce. But you guys were a huge part of the success of the Berks County Chamber and of the success of the local business community.
Now fast forward a few years to the Citizens Committee on Safety, and you're involved in so many things in the community, and the Reading Police Youth Academy. And, you were sharing, can you share that story of what you were watching there on being on the committee?
My colleague on council, Marcia Goodman-Hinterschitz, and myself were the designees from council to serve on the Citizens Safety Committee. I believe that was the name of it. It sort of had different incarnations, but it was thereabouts. And we were lucky enough to sit there with Chief Hyman and now Chief Dominguez, the sheriff of Berks County, a variety of business leaders, and we were looking at putting together a Reading Junior Youth Police Academy. And you know, as many of these groups go, you talk and you talk and you talk, and sometimes you don't get anchored in the way that you need to get anchored. And at one point we were going through another round of, well, this might be good, this might be good, this might be good. And I thought, all of us here have so many things going on. Some are business leaders, some, you know, the chief, he has obviously other things to do, like running the city, which we appreciate. He does a good job. And I suggested to Peter Barbie, who is the chair of that, who is obviously the head of Reading Eagle Company, I said, why don't we look at reaching out to SCORE, because I knew what you guys had done for small business and not as aware of the nonprofits. And everyone on the committee agreed. I think I reached out to Barbara Coffin, perhaps the first person, Russell Hoke, and you guys have just been, I can't say enough how important your organization and your volunteers' ability in terms of creating a business plan, creating the priorities, looking at budgeting, looking at action plans and the procedure to go forward. That, I think, is the reason this academy is geared up and now going, and kids are fabulously being a part of it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Again, we're free and confidential and behind the scenes, and when Russ Hoke sent me a PowerPoint of the academy, and Russ said, you two worked on it and put it together. And to me, that told me pretty much what a fabulous, tremendous background on how you got to the point you're at. And so, you know, we're SCORE is glad to help. And a lot of people don't see SCORE, think of SCORE only in terms of small business. Well, it's also nonprofit. The only difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit is pretty much the income stream and the mission statement. Otherwise, you got to watch the dollars, you got to have vision, you need to put things together. So I'm glad to hear that that's what you did. So tell me, do you see a future role in SCORE with the police academy, youth academy?
Well, I think what would be terrific is, number one, you guys were the kickstart to make it happen. So I will always look at it that way. I think as the academy evolves and it goes from 1 year to the ultimate 4 year that we're looking at, I think we'll probably need more guidance for some business planning within the curriculum, within the context of how it's set up. And I hope that you guys will, Russell and Barbara and everyone, will stay a part of it and continue to serve as advisors to us.
Yes.
Because it's been absolutely critical. We would not be where we're at. I know we wouldn't be without you guys. I know it.
Well, good. That's good. And for, again, this the Reading Police Youth Academy is a nonprofit, and for all you, everyone has a heightened awareness about taxes. It's all funded by donations and grants and foundations, which you, Donna, you get in the middle of doing that. Let me ask you something. You got 1 year under your belt from the safety committee. We had Lieutenant Winters in here, and we're speaking with him.
He's fabulous.
He's at the working level, and he's up to his eyeballs, and plus his day job. Is what would you consider success in the community in 4 years? Looking down the road, you could sit back and say, "Wow."
I think what this is doing with the kids involved in this is building on what we've seen happen in the last year. You look at our basketball team; they're state champions. I think you see a school district that now is taking pride in itself, not just because of sports. Thank goodness for those young men are role models across the board, but academics. Dr. Mumin, who is a part of this committee, with these kids who have been interviewed and vetted per se in terms of, are they interested? Are they really going to be a part of this? When these kids come through in a course of 4 years, the role models they're going to be for the kids coming behind them, the impact they're going to have on this community, should they choose to stay, which we hope they do in a competitive career, be it law enforcement or whatever. But if they leave here, what they take, and the ambassador role they will have for this city to the greater world when people say, wow, that young man's from Reading. Wow, that young lady's from Reading.
What a great vision.
And plus
the structure.
The joy of, in so many communities where police and young people seem to be at odds with each other, that there is that bridge now. There is that reaching out of the hand and understanding each other better.
Excellent.
So it's all good.
It's
and
all
to
good.
think that Retired Generation was
Yes.
the kickstart for the future. I think
Excellent.
the symmetry is wonderful.
We can pass it on. Well, I appreciate this. Now, before we close, could you, we have our blue ribbons here, and I'm sure our viewers are wondering the purpose of those. And
Well,
so
throughout the month of May, we honor our law enforcement professionals throughout the country. Next week is actually the National Recognition Week. But here in Reading and Berks County, we have Crime Alert Berks County, which has been going on since about 1998, founded by the wonderful Barry Rohrbach and now presided over by our president, Rick Perriandi, a former state police officer, Pennsylvania State Police. And these blue ribbons, you'll see about 25,000 of these throughout Berks County this year. Last year we were 15,000 a year before.
Wow.
10.
25,000.
They're free. If you would like one, you can go to the Crime Alert Berks Facebook page. You can go to our website. Let us know. We will get them to you. They are free of charge. We'd love a donation to help cover the costs. But you'll see these on poles prior to the Reading Basketball Championship Parade on 13th Street. An Albright student named Hunter Aarons got his frat brothers to line 13th Street with
Excellent.
these. We have different areas throughout the county where people have them up, from the
Good
far
symbol.
reaches of Hereford to Reading to Valley to Boyertown to Kutztown. So 25,000 of them. We honor our law enforcement professionals. We thank them for their service, and this is a tangible, visible sign to them when they see this that we are behind them. We have their backs as much as they have ours.
What a great symbol. And thank you very much for explaining that. And again, thanks again for taking time out of your incredibly busy schedule to share your experience with SCORE, nonprofits, and a Reading Police Youth Academy. We appreciate your time.
And this
Thank you very
endeavor has
much.
been one of the ones I've been most pleased to be a part of. It's
Excellent.
wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Check back next week for more stories from SCORE, the best kept secret, here on the People Chronicles. Like us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube. If you would like to access our services or volunteer with SCORE, visit our website, berksschuylkillscore.com.